I'm going to go ahead and record this session together so that I can share it with you once we're finished, and you can review it back and watch it as many times as you like. Thanks for joining, and I want to do a quick introduction. My name is Taffy Lynn Butters, and I am a board certified health and wellness coach. And I specialize in working with women who've been diagnosed with breast cancer. I myself am 3.5 years post-diagnosis with breast cancer. And I'm also the owner of Pink Pineapple Health. So again, thank you for joining, and let's get started. So I am going to be using some notes as we go through this. Ever since chemo, my brain's just not quite working like I need it to all the time. Sometimes I draw blanks. So I will be using some notes. So just if you see me looking off, you'll know that's what's going on. So when you think about strategies for breast cancer survival lifestyle, it's all based on the pillars of lifestyle medicine. And if you're not familiar with lifestyle interventions, it's essential to your whole wellness. So we're looking at things like what are you eating? How are you improving upon your fitness? How are you sleeping? What are your stressors, and what healthy ways are you managing those things? And also any other detoxing and things of that nature. So when I do coaching, it's not a cookie cutter situation. The breast cancer lifestyle program that I coach on is completely personalized. We dig deep. We want to know what your health goals are and consider your strengths and put into action a plan that will help you the most. So if you are really strong in one or two of the pillars that I just mentioned, then we won't need to necessarily give support in those areas and work on the other areas. So today we're going to take a quick look at 3 of the pillars and talk about strategies to help get you started. So just a few housekeeping things. So you can use the chat feature to interact. I'd like for this to be as interactive as possible. So the chat should be either at the bottom of your screen or at the top, and you can send a message or any comments while we're talking together. Also at the end, I think I mentioned it already, I will send you a follow-up email with a link to this presentation, as well as an invitation for a free consultation if you want to explore more with one-on-one health coaching. And at the end of this presentation, I am going to leave a little bit of time for any questions and answers that might pop up. So this is really interesting. There is currently no plan for health when it comes to cancer care. And most providers are only treating the symptoms of cancer. Their job with doing treatments, which I had all the treatments, is to reduce your cancer burden dramatically. And then once that's complete, it's up to you and your immune system to take care of any residual cancer cells that might be floating around in your body. So about halfway through my chemo was when I started to ask myself, what more could I be doing to improve my outcome? And, how can I be an active participant in my healing? And to create health, you need to address the whole terrain. And that's what this slide is talking about, is the soil in your body. Powerful lifestyle interventions are actually changes that you can make, and it will emphasize these changes and know what differences they can make. You want to create an environment with your body where cancer can't thrive. Your thoughts, your emotions, your life choices, you're capable of creating this healing environment. I don't know if you're familiar with Mel Robbins. I just love her. She's just like a super no nonsense kind of gal. But she said that there are 3 truths that you must have to accept change in your life. 1, you must be frustrated enough to say no more. 2, you have to be brave enough to demand more. And 3, you've got to be disciplined enough to work for it. I don't know about you, but number 1, being frustrated wasn't a strong enough word when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. But this unintended journey has yielded personal growth and wisdom that nourishes my mind, my body, and my spirit. And that's why I became a health coach, was to heal my body. But what I didn't know is that once I started evaluating and coming through all of these lifestyle interventions, is that I was going to quit my corporate job so that I could help people like you. It's helpful to know that the things that we can change, and it's helpful to know the things that we can't change and how to tell the difference. So today we're going to talk about 3 strategies, or actually the 3 pillars and strategies that you can use to defend your health against breast cancer. So the first one is sleep. And sleep is super underrated. Let's talk about what happens if you don't get enough sleep. You have increased inflammation, your cortisol levels, which can actually lead to insulin resistance and also weight gain. Studies even point out that a lack of sleep is a contributor to breast cancer reoccurrences, especially in postmenopausal women. But then there's the flip side of that. So let's talk about great things that happen when you have restorative sleep. Your immune system gets boosted. You restore and repair healthy cells, which is amazing. You eliminate toxins and waste. Your liver is a powerhouse, and it is doing so much work while you're sleeping to help eliminate all these wastes. And also, because your digesting happens mostly in your sleep, your nutrients are being distributed throughout your body, and also hormones are being manufactured for you to use the next day. So if we can maybe use our chat feature, your chat feature should be either at the bottom or at the top. I'd like to get a little bit of feedback from you. What is your biggest struggle that you might be having right now with sleep? If you could just type that in the chat box, let's see what you guys might be struggling with when it comes to sleep.
Trying to see where the chat box is. Chat.
And I'll let y'all just kind of think about that for a second. I'll keep looking to see if there's anything that comes up. You know, great sleep actually starts in the morning. You think, oh, well, I go to bed and then I have trouble. But when you wake up is kind of when the sleep process starts. So ideally, what would happen is when you wake up, a good strategy is to get 20 to 30 minutes of natural light as soon as you wake up. Don't pick up your phone and look at anything with artificial light. The light is your signal to start making melatonin that you will actually use later in the day. So I see a couple of comments that have come across. Marion saying that going to sleep too early is a struggle. And then I've also got Lauren, who says that she thinks that definitely drinking too much caffeine in the afternoon and that her mind is awake in the evening. Yeah, those are all big factors. And those are actually a couple of strategies that we're going to talk about. So waking up and getting that sunlight will actually start preparing your body for sleep for the following night. So sleep hygiene, let's talk about what that is. And so this is your routine of what's going to happen so that you can start preparing yourself for sleep. So just like what you were saying, how caffeine is a problem, you want to start limiting caffeine. no caffeine past 3 o'clock, especially if you're sensitive to it, because that will affect your quality of sleep. You also want to avoid large meals and alcohol. As I mentioned, this digestion process is going on. And when you have large meals and alcohol, you're putting your body to work. And so you're not going to get as good restful of sleep because it's having to work so hard to process all of those things. And it may sound silly, but making sure that your bed is comfortable, splurge a little bit on your bedding to make sure that it's as comfortable as possible, that your room is nice and dark, and that it's nice and cool. That's the optimal setting for sleep. And don't go to bed until you're actually ready to go to sleep. That's your signal. That's one of your body's signals. Like, I'm laying down, I'm in the bed. This is time for me to sleep and calm down. So it's almost like a process of actively relaxing 1 to 2 hours before your bedtime. Ideally, you would have a set bedtime. So let's say it's 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. So you would want to start at 8 or 9 o'clock actively relaxing. So let's think about a couple of strategies to actively relax. Light yoga. Maybe you're one of these people that holds a lot of tension and stress, like in your shoulders or your neck or your back. Light yoga could be a great way to release that. If you're an overthinker, maybe doing some journaling. Breath work is also a really great way to calm your body and start preparing it to be ready for sleep, or even a hot bath, or relaxing music. So these are just some ideas of strategies that you could be using to help actively relax 1 to 2 hours before you go to sleep. Also, in that time period, you want to just go ahead and shut off your screen time, because that does affect whether your body is ready to go to sleep. When the melatonin kicks in, it's looking for darkness. So you don't want to have light flooding in and distracting and confusing what's going on. Ideally, you would aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep. I think that's a pretty common known thing. And if you have a partner who makes a lot of noise, or maybe there's, light that's coming in through the windows, get earplugs or an eye mask. I know I have to use an eye mask because I'm really sensitive to incoming light. But the long and the short of it is that we want to boost your immune system. We want to restore healthy cells. We want to eliminate toxins and waste, and get the most out of nutrients. So that's why sleep is so important. Next, we're going to move on, get it right here, to anti-cancer eating. So it's estimated that we make 267 decisions about food every day. That's 267 times that you can give your body the right information. Food is literally in the instruction book for what your body is supposed to be doing. So, and you may be thinking, how on earth can I make 267 decisions? Well, the ingredient list on the back of any one thing that you're given could have upwards of 20 ingredients, and that's why you get that big number. Cancer cells are actually different. A normal healthy cell has 2 glucose receptors on it, and a cancer cell has 43. So that's why you hear things like sugar feeds cancer. And it's not just the simple sugar that feeds it, but it's actually the glucose and insulin response helps give the cancer energy and give it an energy boost. So we want to starve those cells of those big insulin spikes, right? You don't want it to be like a big old spike and then crash right down. You want to see your glucose be more of like a rolling hill. And you can do that with your food choices. So what you eat and when you eat are equally as important. A great strategy for this is doing some intermittent fasting. And this is just from when the time you eat your last meal. So let's say you eat your last meal of the day at 6 o'clock at night. And then the next morning, you eat your breakfast at 8. That's 14 hours. And ideally, you would have 13 to 15 hours of fasting in between there. And the reason that this is important is because it has a significant impact on the ability for the cancer cells to feed off of any glucose, because your glucose is going to be down and at a low level. A whole food, plant forward diet is scientifically proven to aid in healing your body, specifically when it comes to breast cancer. There's study upon studies that are coming out every single day saying that this is where people should be trying to move towards. And the main reason is because it's nutrient dense. It helps aid in your ideal weight, achieving an ideal weight. It reduces inflammation, and it also manages your glucose. So your diet is literally medicine, and you can change your habits and transform your health by reducing carb-heavy foods, integrating plant-based proteins, and I'm talking about unprocessed plant-based proteins. So things like beans, lentils, nuts, and whole soy products, not the processed meats and things that are fake meats. Reducing your processed foods, and maintaining proper hydration. That is so huge. I think that oftentimes gets missed. And proper hydration would look like ideally half your weight in ounces of water. So if you weigh 150 pounds, ideally you would drink 75 ounces of water a day. So how do you make these changes? You start small. That's how you do it, because this is so overwhelming. There's a strategy called crowding out that I want to share with you. And it's where you take nutrient dense foods and you enter them in to fill up your stomach, which can lead to less intake, more nutrition, and help stabilize your weight. Sorry. So what I'm talking about is like whole foods. So if you had 200 calories of grapes per se, that would be filling up your stomach a whole lot more than 200 calories of chips. And not that we're really even worried about the calories, but the nutrition in and of itself is so important. The grapes is going to give you fiber and potassium and a whole, different varieties of vitamins, whereas the chip is just empty calories. Other crowding out might look like replacing an animal protein with a plant-based protein. Maybe it's beans instead of chicken, or maybe replacing a wheat pasta with a lentil pasta. The point is not to try to completely overhaul your diet all in one swoop, because we don't want to set yourself up for failure. Instead, crowd out, make simple swaps, change foods for whole foods, not processed foods, and little by little, so you don't feel deprived, and you get used to the changes. It'll flood your body with nutrients, and it'll help manage your weight and stabilize your glucose, which we love. And lastly, we're going to talk about reducing your toxic load. So when you think about reducing your toxic load, what comes to mind? Let's use our chat feature and see what comes up for you guys when you think about reducing your toxic load. What do you think of when you think about reducing your toxic load? You can just put that in the chat. stress, not letting myself overthink about negativity, caffeine. Great. So I love that we're seeing that reducing your toxic load is not just like flushing out your body, which is a way of detoxing, but it has to do with everything, right? It's your mind, it's your whole body, and it's your soul. It's all things that need to be considered. We'll start with the mind. Detoxing your thoughts is so powerful. The mind-body connection is huge. When you're thinking about stress or even like, negative thoughts, that energy is actually communicating with every single cell in your body. So you want to start rewiring your brain so that you can start feeding your cells better positive energy, and so that they don't feel so stressed out. And if you're not familiar with that connection, it's so very powerful. There's a book out there called The Biology of Belief by Dr. Linton, and it explains it all, and it's just amazing. Strategies that you can use to detox your thoughts are daily affirmations. That's one of my favorite go-to strategies for rewiring my thoughts, because this is definitely something that I know I struggle with. One of the affirmations that I absolutely love is this: I release all causes of disease from my past, and now I'm moving into a state of health and happiness. And when you're using affirmations, you can use them anytime, anywhere. That's what's so nice about it. Going for a walk, you can use affirmations, and you repeat them over and over and over. You can do them before you go to bed. You can do them while you're taking a shower, whatever it is. And you could repeat that: I release all causes of disease from my past, and now I move into a state of health and happiness. You just kind of almost feel like you have a little bit of a release with some of these affirmations when they really hit home. Detoxing your body as a whole is a daily activity. Strategies would include addressing your food quality. Choose organic when possible. You can actually use the Environmental Working Group has a website. They also have an app, which is an outstanding tool to be able to look at different foods. It has a scanning feature where you can scan the back of the product at the grocery store, and it'll give you a score. It has a scoring system, and anything that is a 3 or below is a safe food, a safe product, a safe cleaning thing. They have all these items in there. The EWG also puts out a really great resource called the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. And this is to help you figure out what you absolutely should be considering for organic, and which things are okay to buy for traditional. So the Clean 15 would be things that are okay to buy traditional, but the Dirty Dozen, those you absolutely want to be buying organic, because they're holding on to those chemicals and pesticides. And so that's why they put together that list. There's many other strategies for detoxing your body, but a couple of simple ones would be exercise. And when you exercise, make sure you sweat. Your skin is your largest organ. And by sweating, you're releasing out toxins. You can also achieve this by taking an Epsom salt bath. You put 2 cups of Epsom salt in a warm to hot bath and soak in it for 20 minutes. And that helps release out toxins from your body as well. And lastly, detoxing your soul. Like your mind, it's an important connection to your healing, your spirituality, whatever that might look like. It's an ability for us to connect to a higher power. So whether you're praying to a god or you are connecting to the universe using Reiki, or both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. The idea is that to be able to let go of things that are worrying you or burdening you or bringing you negative energy, connecting to these things on a daily basis and giving it up to that higher power will help to detox you in a spiritual way. So I know that's a lot of information, but that kind of wraps up our session as far as some simple strategies to get started. If you have any comments or questions that you want to ask, I'd be more than happy to see if I can answer them for you. You can use the chat. And like I said, I will be sending a recording of this because I know that was a lot of information along in an email so you can rewatch along with an invitation. If you feel like you are interested in exploring some more one-on-one coaching, I will send you an invitation for a free consultation. Great. Thank you, Sherry. I'm glad. Good info. I'm really glad that you got to join. So thank you so much. And I possibly will be doing another session. I just don't know when yet. So I hope you have a lovely rest of your day and a fantastic weekend. And I hope to talk to you soon.